Nick, good
Hi.
afternoon. How's it going there?
Okay. How are you?
Fine. Am I getting you from Los Angeles or from New York?
LA.
LA. Well, I'm dialing in from probably 25 minutes from where you grew up in Long Beach. You're a Rosedale guy, right?
Yeah, I know Long Beach very well. Oceanside. I went to high school in Rockville Center. In fact, I almost at 17, I almost drowned in Long Beach.
Wow. Okay. Sorry to immediately go there.
Yeah, I always liked it until I barely swam, and then they pulled me out of the water undertow with me and my friends. I was this close. I would have, So Long Beach, not all good for me.
Well, speaking of all good, Overrun, great movie that you've got coming out very, very soon. All-star cast, present company included. When did you actually film it and finish it?
To be honest, I know it was before COVID. Maybe, I don't know, 2 years ago.
Wow.
So I wasn't that involved in it. I mean, I had a lot of fun doing it. I think it was a 1 day or 2 day. I think it was a 1 day thing for me. I'm not sure. From what I remember, I know I had a blast doing it. It was like in the middle of nowhere. It was like a junkyard or something, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" And I haven't seen the movie. The trailer looks cool. Have you seen it?
Yes, I have. It looks cool. Yeah, it starts off with a bang, to say the least. It's not one of those movies where you have to wait 20 minutes for action.
Yeah. These guys were ex stuntmen, so they seemed like they knew the action genre. And then there's some interesting actors in it: Bruce Dern and Bill Catt and a few other people, myself. So it looks like a good eclectic group of people, and it looks like a fun movie. I mean, sometimes you do a movie, and it's like, that was, you tried, but for whatever reason, this actually looks like it should be fun.
In your case, now that you mentioned you were just on set for a day or two per se, was it a traditional casting thing, or was it a, hey, let's get an Emmy award caliber actor, we're getting Nick?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times these smaller movies, relationships, people that know you. I know Bill Catt from a few things, William Catt. We have a mutual friend, so I guess he has recommended me for a few things that I've wound up doing interesting indies. So sometimes it comes like that, or sometimes they just try to get you for a day. But usually it's like relationships, like, hey, would you like to do this movie? Or somebody recommended you. It's not even your agents that find these kind of projects. And some of them are really interesting, and some of them are not. So, this one was fun. I could tell you that. And plus I got to be, like the comic relief, which I like. And I've been doing a lot of, comics type of stuff. I mean,
Yeah,
that I enjoy.
that's interesting that you mentioned that about Bill, because of course the Happy Madison people, they've put you in a lot of things over the years as well. So it seems like your career has been a lot of friendships, which is the opposite of most actors that you hear from on your level. By that I mean that they're kind of in competition. They're not happy when their other friends are getting work. But in your case, the work leads to work, friends leads to friends, leads to work.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel that way. Like, I'm competing with other people, and I'm more like, I'm not that kind of guy of trying to one up on you. Or I've always been that. Like, I know some actors that are very ambitious, more ambitious than me. I'm like, not to say I'm not ambitious, but I mean, they'll kill you for not kill you literally, but I mean, they'll step over you. I've have a friendship with a good actor friend of mine who's I won't say his name, but he pushed me out of a couple of big movies that I was like almost in, that, but maybe he was campaigning for it, and, vice versa, working with guys that are like, always trying to one up you. And I'm not, I like building relationships, different camps that I've been friendly with, different actors, different people. I'm not known for just working with one person, but I've had affiliations with a lot of different kinds of people, which I find really interesting. It'd be nice to, like, listen, I wish I could have gotten to know like the Judd Apatow people, or the Seth Rogans, and I just don't know that crew. I don't know that crowd. And, you know, if they gave me a chance, I think they'd like me. You know, I think they could show them. But, you know, sometimes you just don't get in with those, you know. I mean, I never worked for Scorsese or something. Like, you know, I worked for De Niro as a producer, but, you know, so, you know, and that was a thrill. And I couldn't even believe it. He hired me, but, you know, but he was never there. I was talking to him on the phone, and that was like, wow. I was like, always, I was like, it's, you know, and I was like, I wish we could have like been face to face, but still, you know, it was like, but yeah, I mean, I mean, that's, sometimes it's like that. It's this guy recommends you, and one thing leads to another. You know, you never know, you know, something you didn't get, and then somebody could recommend you for it. And, you know, that's how I got this job one time years ago, a movie that I was up for, and the movie never got made. And then I wasn't going to get the part. And Mark Wahlberg got it. And then the tape got to De Niro, and De Niro was going to be in the movie. And then subsequently hired me for this miniseries from this tape for a movie that I wasn't going to get. And I was in a rage about it. I was like, why, you know, and then some, but that's how, you know, that's how this business is.
That sounds like you should be doing master classes on how to work long-term as an actor, based on the fact that the lessons or the things that you're saying right now are things that when you're 25, if you don't get that role, you would be going, oh, career's over. That was my big break, right, and that's that. Whereas your career has been not just success in drama, it's also been success in comedy. You know, when you do a huge movie like The Longest Yard, that has nothing to do with NYPD Blue.
Not a thing.
I'm sure when you were 25 or around that age, your agent was giving you all sorts of advice that doesn't really apply, that as you get older, you go, that wasn't true. I'm going to work if I'm good, and I'm easy to work with.
Yeah. And I mean, as far as like comedy goes and drama goes, I think I've always had like comedic chops, or whatever you want to call it. I'm not a stand-up comedian, but I always knew that maybe naturally I was able to make people laugh, and I was able to do that on the screen. And I knew I had that ability. I just hadn't been given a chance. Like I had the year before NYPD Blue, I'd done a pilot, a sitcom that I got, and the pilot didn't get picked up. And I was like, maybe that was one shot in Hollywood. And then, you know, I got famous for being on a drama, and I had to play the straight man. The guy who was my partner on that show got all the comedic lines. And meanwhile, I was on the show, my agent at the time got me on all these talk shows, and all the guys on NYPD were like, well, how did you get on Letterman? And how did you get on? They were like, I was like, I don't know. I was, you know, my agent, he goes, I knew you were a funny guy, and I thought Letterman, these guys would love you. But on the show, I was a straight man. I was just like Bud Abbott to his Costello. Yeah. And but when I got on Letterman, you know, he let me go. And then like years later, you know, Sandler gave me a chance, and it was a small part, and he made it way bigger because he was like, dude, you're funny. And so I always knew that it was there. It takes maybe someone to give you a chance, you know. And in that movie, Adam let me shine and made the part a lot bigger, because at the beginning it was minimal, and it became like this memorable role. So I like doing both, but I love things that are comedic too. Even in the drama, like Blue Bloods, I did for a few years. I was the comic relief, not planned, by accident. Right. And they were like, wow, and that show, it needed it, you know, and it's still a good show, but I could tell they don't have anybody like that, you know, and I can bring that to the table, because I can make things organically funny without trying to be funny. It's very, maybe I should be a life
center, the Rockville Center charm. If you look at the number of people with comedic chops that have made it out of Rockville Center, hey, there's you, Amy Schumer, Dave Attell. I'm leaving out people here. Howard Stern, of course, is the big one. Who else is from Rockville Center? I know Amy, I forget her name. She was on 13 Reasons Why.
Well, I'm from Rosedale, but I went to high school in Rockville Center. But you know, but good old St. Agnes. But I'm a Rosedale boy, so there were a lot of funny people in Rosedale. I was surrounded by, I think, funny people. My dad didn't know he was funny. He was funny, so my brother, who's funny but in a very serious way.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, so I've been surrounded. My uncles were bigger than life, like hilarious people, but they were very dramatic. I come from a very dramatic family. Guys were all in construction, but they were like bigger than life, hilarious people. So I always knew, I had a good sense of what was funny. I always thought I had good taste, and I still do. I'm
Yeah.
not saying,
Yeah.
I'll disagree with people and I'll be like, that was good. And they're like, I go, nah, I'm not saying I'm 100%, but if I tell you something's good, it's good. If I tell you something's funny, it's funny, because a lot of things they laugh at doesn't make me laugh like one iota. Like, you got it. Something that makes me laugh, I could watch it 100 times and I still laugh.
Yeah.
Like the Honeymooners or something. I'm gonna laugh all the time because it's so good. So that's when it holds up. But I've done a lot of both. And sometimes people see me and they go, "Are you a comedian?" Because they know you from this, they know you from the Sandler, they know you. And I'm like, no, I'm not a comedian. They go, "But you should be one." I go, "Yeah, maybe I should have been maybe I would have had a bigger career if I worked on stand-up." But I didn't go into it thinking I was gonna be, I probably, if I had worked on it, because I can tell stories and stuff, maybe I could have done it. I don't know, but that's a whole other thing. So that's not an easy thing to do.
Right.
It's just like stand-ups. A lot of stand-ups, they don't know how to act. Then they got to and they got to learn how, not every stand-up becomes a good actor, because they're trying to do their shtick, their jokes, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
But I have a good sense of what's real, and and how to ground stuff to make it. Sometimes they'll go, "I didn't even know that was going to be funny." I go, "Well, I didn't know either."
Well, what you were just saying though about comics with acting, almost every comic I can think of is a great actor, except the first like 4 or 5 Rodney Dangerfield films. Those, if you watch the acting back, he was clearly memorized his jokes and he's just saying them per se. But you make a very good point about comedy.
But I mean, if you take, like, say, the Honeymooners, like Jackie Gleason was a great actor. He was in The Hustler. He was in Reckwith. He was a really good actor who was hilarious. He wasn't just an Art Carney. Same thing. He was really, really funny physically, but the guy could act his ass off. It's just like, let's say Jack Klugman and Tony. Those guys were fun and they were good actors. There were some guys that, they're very funny, but they're just funny but they're not really. They never became like a good actor, if you know what I mean. You know what I mean? And vice versa, like some great dramatic actors that are very funny. You take guys like, De Niro and Pacino, those guys, they're funny too. And they're funny in ways that are different. There's some guys that are just dramatic, but they don't have a funny bone in their body.
In the case of Pacino, his turn in Jack and Jill, when he does the Dunkachino rap at the end, I think that tells everyone that Al Pacino can do comedy if he wants.
I mean, even when you watch him, like, earlier Al Pacino was way, way more grounded. Later, hoo-ha! That guy is very funny. Like when you watch him in Heat, and he makes these choices that are over the top. And I rewatched it the other day, and I was like, I was peeing in my pants, dying laughing. He's talking to one guy and tone low, and he's like, "Give me what you got." And, the guy's making with his wife, and he goes, "Sit down, Ralph." He goes, "You can have my wife, but you can't have my TV." And it's like, it's hilarious. It's hilarious, even though it's over the top, but it's Pacino. And because he's so funny, that you go, wow, that guy, I think Al Pacino doesn't even know it. He's a dramatic comic actor. He really is. And De Niro has some of that too. And he's done a lot of those, he has some of that too. And even like my brother who's a great actor,
Brain Donors. I love Brain Donors.
Nobody even knows about Brain Donors. They got shelved. And other things that he's done. I mean, Mr. Deeds, he steals the movie. I mean, he's brilliant in Mr. Deeds. That's like a really great role. and it's a fun movie, Mr. Deeds, you know.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know, Zohan, he's funny in the Zohan, you know. And
yeah, you both
but,
have hit it out of the park for Happy Madison multiple times. So the
Yeah, no.
Turturros, the Baldwin brothers of Queens, you could say.
That's what we are. We're the Baldwin brothers of Queen. Well, no, yeah, I mean, yeah. I don't know if we want to be referred to as the Baldwin brothers of Queens, but they're Long Island. They're like, you know, they're Long Island. But we're like the Barrymores of New York or something. I don't know, whatever you want to call us. But that's funny. I like the Baldwins.
Well, my last question for you is, you've made some references to great TV shows of all time by saying names like Jack Klugman and The Honeymooners and all that. Do you have a TV recommendation for somebody who needs a new show to start?
A brand new show?
Or it could be anything from the past couple of years, but anything that you've picked up on recently that you think people would like.
Well, you know, I rewatched the Sopranos, which is brilliant. So anybody that hasn't seen the Sopranos, one of the greatest dramas, and also very, very funny in a different way. So
Yeah.
But you need to start at the beginning. You know, I would say the first 5 seasons are. The last season got a little tired for me, and shows do lose its steam. Entourage, which I didn't initially love, have now loved it more and more and more, because I'm developing a pilot that we're trying to sell now. That's kind of along the lines of a Curb Your Enthusiasm, Entourage. Those are 2 great. And then there are other older shows that, you know, people don't know. Like, you go back and watch a show like Crime Story. It's a great show that Michael Mann did. Mm-hmm. I think it lasted 2 seasons, but the first is wild. It's like wild television.
That's where Dice Clay got his break from.
Dice Clay, David Caruso was in it.
Yeah.
Tony Dennison was, and Dennis Farina, who was also very funny.
Yeah.
And very good dramatic actor. He was a real cop, you know, for a long time. That's a terrific short-lived series, you know. Some of these things are great. You go back and watch Miami Vice, like you don't realize how many great actors were on it, and it was really good, man. It was like exciting. Like, you don't see that kind of exciting network. It saddens me that network TV now has been so diluted. You know, the streamers come out with stuff that's good, but network TV, man, I wish it would make a comeback, but they killed it with reality and all that other garbage. But when I was on network TV, NYPD Blue and ER, it was exciting. And there were great shows. Seinfeld. And, you know, network TV, it's, you know, it's not what it once was. You know, and when I was a kid, it was amazing. You had All in the Family, you had Kojak, you had this, you had that. You know, there was a couple of channels, and it was so much to watch, but there was quality, not quantity. Now you got quantity, but without the quality, in my opinion. You know?
That pilot that you described that you're shopping around, I want to see that when that is made.
Oh, it's very funny. It's called Band of Idiots, and it's a bunch of high school kids and me. And I think we're gonna, and my brother's involved with it, and yeah, I'll let you know. And I think we're gonna find a home for it. Thank you.
Fingers crossed. Either way, big fan for many years. Keep up the greatness there, Nick. And
all right, nice to meet you,
Darren. This movie soon.
Yeah. All right, buddy.
Thanks. Take care.
Paltrocast.